District of Columbia. Now, our top 20 contestants will each share their Beauty with a Purpose speech. This phase of competition allows each contestant to share a 30-second message on their service project with the audience, panel of judges, and America. First up, Arizona.
Feed the future. Just 3 simple words. As a naturopathic medical student, I understand the importance a nutritious meal can play in a child's development. As your Miss World America, I would like to advocate and amplify my mission. Children are the future and they deserve a hot meal at the end of the day. In my state, 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry every night, and around the world, it's 45 million people. And this is a statistic I could not sit with, which is why I partnered with Action Against Hunger to provide resources and food to kids in struggling communities worldwide. My work with food kitchens helps provide hot meals to all communities in my state. And I hope that as Miss World America, I can continue this work worldwide. Thank you.
Up next, California.
At 13 years old, my little brother Adrian, who has autism, was arrested for writing his name on the school's sidewalk. Adrian's innocence brought him to believe that this would make him a legend, a reflection of how his autism shapes his unique perspective on the world. But instead of a legacy, he was given a criminal record. This exposed a deep flaw in our society. We all know someone with a disability, but what we don't know is how they're being treated, with no empathy, with no equality. As Miss World America, I will lobby for mandatory disability training for educators and school resource officers to ensure, thank you, to ensure no child with a disability is ever criminalized again. Adrian's legacy lives on, and it lives on within you. So now I'd like to ask if you would take a pledge with me. Please raise your hand and repeat after me. Together we can build a society.
Together we can build a society
That loves, accepts, and understands.
that loves, accepts, and understands.
And from this, let legends be born.
And from this, let legends be born.
Thank you.
Taking center stage, Southwest.
How many times have you heard, man, if only there were more hours in a day? Now imagine for a minute losing seconds, minutes, or even hours out of your precious 24. That is the reality of living with absence epilepsy, a type of seizure that causes people's brains to simply turn off instead of the normal symptoms such as convulsions. I was diagnosed with absence epilepsy when I was just 7 years old. And my Beauty with a Purpose initiative is dedicated to raising epilepsy awareness in the arts and music. I want to increase representation for all 40 different types of seizures so that together we can build a kinder world and more representation for people with epilepsy and seizures. Thank you.
Your time, Colorado.
Miracles for Maddie is all about bridging the gaps in technology and healthcare for people living with disabilities to ensure that life-changing technology is ready and accessible for everyone. Imagine having your dreams be limited, your access to education be stifled. This is what 216 million children across the globe face every day. This is the mission that I have taken with Miracles for Maddie in order to lobby for funding at the federal level and at the state level. I have traveled across the state to ensure that no child is left behind and that every child's dreams are possible. This was inspired by my goddaughter who passed away at just 5 months old. We both had one thing in common, and that was our disability. Her disability ended her life. And my disability has changed the course of mine. After all, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't embrace my disability. Together, we can change the world, and we can change 216 million children's lives across the globe. Thank you.
Massachusetts.
I'm a numbers person, so I hope you could all help me out and just take a moment and look around the room. Take in how many people are in this room today. There's 800. With that being said, statistically, 108 people do not know where their next meal is coming from. 88 are struggling to obtain a warm coat for winter. And 308 are currently battling one or more chronic illnesses. This right here is why volunteerism is so important. If we are lucky enough to not be a part of those statistics, we are very likely having someone in our life that we love and care about that does. My organization, the Project Give Back, works to inspire altruism and graciousness across the United States, increasing numbers of volunteerism. Because volunteerism does not just help people beat the odds, it changes the odds. Thank you.
Nevada.
Imagine a child brimming with potential without the tools to explore it. Over 60% of low-income schools lack access to quality STEM education, leaving millions of bright minds untapped and in the shadows, which is why I created my nonprofit organization, Rise with Education. Through over 23 STEM events, over $15,000 raised, and hundreds of lives touched, I've seen kids light up as they discover their potential. As Miss World America, I would bring this hope to children worldwide, because every child deserves the chance to dream, create, and thrive.
South Carolina.
When I was in 5th grade, I had an assignment to write, a little storybook about the Civil War. After hours of hard work and tears, I got my first big fat whopping 0. I didn't turn that thing in because I wasn't able to read well enough to understand anything that was being presented to me. I, like 70% of low-income students in the United States, was functionally illiterate. Functional illiteracy follows many into adulthood, and it is one of the greatest factors of poverty and crime. So how about we put a big fat whopping 0 on America's literacy rates with education with a purpose, where I teach children how they can be the masters of their own universe. That all we need is discipline to develop our intellect and create a life that we love. Thank you.
of 7 million people around the world are currently experiencing modern-day slavery. 70% of that statistics are women and children. And 3 years ago, I was part of that statistic. I stand here before you today and say, enough is enough. My Beauty with a Purpose is called Raising Hope, which I have partnered with Unbound Now, where we bring education, awareness, and life-serving platforms to survivors who are experiencing human trafficking. And just this year alone, we have served 1,400 survivors. I stand here before you because of these resources that was available. Join me in the fight against human trafficking because nobody deserves to be living in slavery. Thank you.
Good evening, America. About a decade ago, I found a hard lump growing on the side of my head. And after CAT scans and MRIs, I grew this fear of a what if. What could this hard lump in my head be? And while I was fortunate to find out that this tumor was benign, this reality is not the reality for so many children facing a terminal illness. And for these children that suffer, they never suffer alone. Their families suffer with them. And unfortunately, here in the state of Washington, we have no home for hospice care, no hospice for children in the entire state of Washington. In fact, in the entire United States, we only have 3 pediatric palliative care homes. A pediatric palliative care home offers hospice to children and aids support to their families so that they can receive grievance support, therapy, and support for their siblings as well. Because there is healing in a mother's hug, assurance in a father's love, and healing through a sibling's laughter. We must support the awareness of bringing up pediatric palliative care homes and make sure that we have these pediatric palliative care homes so that no child suffers alone. Thank you.
Wisconsin.
Living next to the poorest school system in our country, I have seen young hearts and minds crushed under the weight of a brutal reality where a healthy lifestyle remains out of reach. It's an injustice that no child should have to face, and one I could not ignore. Working alongside the governor of Wisconsin, I fight for every child to get the chance to succeed, and that begins with health being a fundamental right, not a privilege. Thank you.
District of Columbia.
Every 2 minutes, a child is diagnosed with cancer. That's 40,000 children diagnosed with cancer in the United States every single year. I've spent the past 11 years working to help fundraise and invest $500,000 into pediatric cancer research, supporting the development of 8 innovative treatments. Help me bring these innovative treatments to the world stage. Together, we can end the suffering of millions of children across the world and make the world a better place than we found it. Thank you.
Oregon.
As your next Miss World America, my platform is dedicated to advocating and helping young women and young girls. I am going to build homes for young women and girls who are victims and survivors of sex trafficking, human trafficking, homelessness, and abuse. Every woman deserves their freedom to walk out the door with no fear, not terrified, but to go out there and live their life. My goal is to provide them resources through fundraising efforts to be able to reclaim their destiny. They have hit their ground zero. Let's bring them to 100 again. With efforts and works with Adorn Boutique, Tacoma Rescue Mission, Youth Expo, and many more organizations, including mission trips worldwide, I've been able to partner with them to create a welcoming and loving environment for young girls. To every woman who has been sexually abused, sexually assaulted in here, my heart grieves for you. Stand with me and let's make sure that no young girls and women have to feel that pain, that heartbreak, and that loss ever again. Thank you.
Washington.
You crazy?